at 20 years old, in the middle of a pandemic. It's one of the fastest growing churches in America.
Right.
And they're like, do you want to be the kids pastor?
I don't know how we did it, but besides, there was just a grace of God. The easiest thing was just being relational. I can't pay people with money, but I can pay them with my thanks. I can pay them with taking them out to coffee or dinner or whatever it meant.
You did have a huge volunteer team, and you're now having to lead people that are twice, and in some instances, 3 times your age.
Yeah.
What did you do?
It was the crazy experience, but how did I do it? It took so much.
Well, welcome to the Amazing Kidsmin podcast. My name is Tyler. I'm so happy to be here. And today we have a privilege. There's someone that I've known for just a short amount of time, but in that short amount of time, we've become like brother and sister. And this person actually is really great. They've been in kids ministry for a bit. They've been a part of some really exciting things and some really challenging things. But I'm excited today to welcome to the Amazing Kidsmin podcast my actual physical sister, Payton Bates. Please give her a round of applause.
Hello. Glad to be here.
I need-
Thanks so much for having me.
I need like a soundboard with sound
man.
effects. Yeah,
Where's Connie?
I know. So why didn't you get me a birthday present last year? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, out the gate.
Kidding. No. No. So a lot of people probably don't realize majority of our family is in full-time vocational ministry.
What in the world?
And our immediate family growing up. So I'm one of 6 kids. She's one of the 6. I'm the oldest. I have a twin, but I am the oldest twin by 15 minutes.
For sure.
And
we all know that.
And everyone knows.
It's known.
I do joke. John wrote, the one whom Jesus loved. I'm I am the disciple whom Jesus loved. I'm the child whom my parents loved. So
Right. And then I was born.
and then you were born.
And then I was born.
But so I'm the oldest, you're the youngest, you're the baby of the family.
Yeah.
So, and people sometimes think that I'm still 19 years old, which is great. I am 33 with 2 kids, but people are like, you have children? I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much.
Slay.
And at this point you're in your mid-20s. On the back end of your mid-20s.
Wow. Okay.
But
so glad to
single,
be here today.
looking for This is what you get for coming on a podcast with your brother.
Wow, this is never
But-
what I thought it was going to be. Okay, cool.
But I tell people this a lot. We were products of not just really well done kids ministry, but also parents who were very intentional.
Absolutely.
And I would say a lot of my faith framework and foundation was more so attributed to the way that our mom and our dad was very intentional with growing it. And church was really helpful and partnered in it.
Right.
For our community and for even just growing even more. But it was our parents were intentional. So we get to reap that. And then I started in kids ministry first.
It's a competition throughout this whole thing.
Yeah. So as the one who did it first in our
Right.
family,
Right.
kids wise, my mom was always involved in doing and serving and all the
she
things.
is the OG.
And then we have a lot of extended family members who have Miami Kids Choir and Big Vinny and
My
Captain
goodness.
Hook. And our family has just been in Kidsmin for a very long
A
time.
giant conglomerate
Yes,
of
yeah.
kidsmen.
Emily, who travels around the world. And so,
Yes.
but as the one in our family who did it first, and started doing Kidsmin, and then you got into it, no one, I always say this, no one grows up thinking I'm going to be in kids ministry one day. Our family may have actually, the kids in our family may have thought through this.
Right.
And so, but how did you, why did you choose Kidsmin?
Well, it's true. You did do it first,
Yes.
but it wasn't because you did it that I followed in suit. Not at all. I mean, there was influences for sure. But honestly, I think a ton of it had to do with how we grew up, how we had parents who were so intentional about our spiritual development and giving us space to learn God's voice and to know His word and to love His church. And so honestly, just growing up, even being in 5th grade, I remember I was in a prayer service and I heard the Lord speak to me, and it was just clear, you're going to be a children's pastor. And so which sounds crazy.
It's weird, yeah.
It's so
It's awesome,
weird.
like a good weird, but it's like, oh,
Right. It's like, oh, this can't be. Because, I mean, sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, my whole life has been based on a moment
yeah,
that I encountered the Lord and it
Mhm.
kind of shifted everything.
Yeah.
And obviously, it hasn't been just the straight path. There's been
Yep.
so many things in between. But yeah, I just remember like it being like just deeply in my soul, okay, like this is what I need to do, even when I didn't want to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so I was off, and then we had family members doing stuff, and then what was awesome is we grew up in Houston, and you guys got involved at a church. It was a really great church. It was like blowing up, like thriving.
Literally, it was actually one of the fastest growing. It was the fastest growing church in America.
For a couple years in a row, but like you started by attending youth there, right?
I did, yeah. So basically, I got involved in. It was such a healthy church, and it was everything that our family was looking for, and so got involved and just fell in love with it. And I was getting ready to graduate and figuring out, okay, what am I gonna do next? And it was such a funny situation where they were just like, hey, Payton, do you want to like help run this event or do these different things? And I mean, I was just a homeschooled Christian kid where I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Those are the best.
The best kind of servant leaders.
Yeah.
And so really just as I was getting ready to graduate and figuring out what was next, I remember just because of different reasons, I was like, I'm going to take a break from kids ministry. I just want to, even though I had been told like at such a young age, like I knew what I was supposed to be doing, kids ministry was just off the table in this season. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Like, I'm good. I remember talking with the kids pastor at the time of that church and her being like, hey, I've heard you've done a lot in kids ministry. What is going on? Why aren't you back here?
And you were like 18 at this point?
I was 17 years old,
Yeah.
and I was like, just taking a break. But I love it. I think it's so great, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. I feel is is there judgment for taking a break?
No, yeah. No.
But I just remember telling her like, yeah, I need a break for a season. Just because of things that had happened, it felt like painful to serve in an area that it was something I love so much, but I just knew I needed to heal. And we just started talking, and I was like, no, but I believe in kids ministry. And being a 17-year-old, I was like, oh my gosh, I believe that there's no such thing as a junior Holy Spirit. The same Holy Spirit that we encounter in the auditorium is the one these kids encounter. And just started like saying Barna research was saying like 70% of kids that encounter God from the age of 6 to 12, like that they stay within the walls of the church by the time they turn 18. So I'm just like a nerd about kids ministry, but was like, I'm not going to do this right now. And she was like, wait, I'm so confused. Why aren't you doing this? And honestly, the Lord told her in that moment of like, she's going to be on your team. You just need to let her heal. And so she's like, she just fostered a relationship. And honestly, opportunities came up where she's like, hey, would you want to try this? And through a series of events, it was a load in and load out church.
Yeah. So you guys were like, I think I was always shocked, and I think people were always shocked. Like, it was the fastest growing church in America. And at one point, you had 15,000 people showing up every weekend.
Right.
And you didn't own a building. It was, you were loading in and out. And it wasn't just like, 15,000 people. It was like a thriving, young families were showing up. Like, the average age of the people showing up were like young adults and young families.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, wow, this thing, like, it was kind of this anomaly type of thing.
100%.
And so it was like, wow, that's so cool. I know that church. And then you would show up and be like, we're in a high school right now.
Right.
Why are we in a high school?
You, even just watching online, you wouldn't believe it. Or like you would look around in service and you would be so in the moment, you would have no idea. But if you looked around, it's like the championships from the school of like the different awards they've won or trophies or whatever tournaments. You're like, oh, I'm very much in a school gymnasium right now.
Oh, yeah.
Or I'm in an auditorium, a theater auditorium at a school.
Well, you guys, like for one of your Easter services, you rented out one of the biggest convention
Yeah.
centers in Houston and
Right.
packed it.
Right.
And then it's like, but you don't own a building. Like,
No, what do you do?
and you loaded into a convention center for Easter. Like,
Right. Having 1,600
with volunteers.
kids,
Yeah.
1,600 kids
Yeah.
in one room
Yeah.
for elementary is
Yeah.
insane.
It's wild.
It is wild. Yeah, I learned so much. But yeah, I don't know how we did it, but besides there was just a grace of God on it, and it was something I'd never seen, and I knew I want to be a part of this. But I had no idea what all that entailed, and that load in and load out
Yeah.
is really hard.
Very hard.
And, you almost like, you go to other churches and they're like, we do this and we have these rooms and we get to do this. And you're like, oh, so, we don't have walls.
No.
we don't have walls. I can hear the baby crying from the nursery in the elementary room as we're doing an altar call.
Mhm.
It comes with a bunch of different challenges.
And having to lead so how did you I'll fast forward a second. You end up becoming the kids pastor, and I have a question about that in a second.
Yeah.
But you were really young, 22?
I was 20.
20, okay. So at 20 years old,
Right?
in the middle of a pandemic.
Right. This doesn't sound real.
No, and it's one of the fastest growing churches in America.
Right.
And they're like, do you want to be the kids pastor? And after you cried, because I was there.
It's true. I got the call.
You were like, I don't want to do it.
And you were there.
Uh-huh.
And I was so overwhelmed. I remember I just walked to you. I'm like, they asked me to do this, and I don't think I could do that. I mean, it was you got the raw, first unfiltered version. And you're like, what do you mean? You can definitely do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think maybe not in that exact scenario. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe. But I think people sometimes find themselves in this place where they get asked to step into a leadership role. And all of a sudden, it's not like y'all had a massive staff of people, which was also very just mind-boggling for the rate at which you were growing and moving. But
Right.
you did have a huge volunteer team, like huge, like hundreds and hundreds of people. And so you take over being the kids pastor at 20 years old, and you're now having to lead people that are twice, and in some instances, 3 times your age.
Yeah.
And like for those of you who do load in, load out, what like when you're loading in and out every week and you have a team, and like imagine being a 20-year-old, I can't, and telling like a 48-year-old man, hey, actually, we're not going to do that today. And it's like, excuse me? So
Right.
what did you do? Like, because I think some people get thrown into this at times. Like we have a lot of young, there's a statistic that like over the next, I think it's 9 years, maybe the year just changed, so it could be 8, but over the next 9 years, there's 30,000 like pastors, like full-time vocational pastors that are stepping out of ministry. And we don't have enough people to backfill them. Like our seminaries aren't full enough. Like,
Right.
and so we're about to start seeing kind of the turnover and the handoff and the baton and the passing of the mantle onto a newer generation. And so I think we're going to start seeing this even more in your situation, where young people get, hey, here's the mantle, and now they have to lead people that are twice their age. And
Right.
So what do you do?
Right. Because, I mean, before this, I'm just teaching kids how to
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
leadership is so much different. How do you go from, teaching a lesson on a weekend to, okay, you're over hundreds of volunteers,
Yeah.
people who are twice your age,
Yes.
and maybe some who are like, wait, why are you here?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Or, just even asking things about me that I couldn't change. I couldn't help that I was a woman. I couldn't help that I was 20. Those are things that, God created me to be this way.
Yeah.
And so it was the crazy experience, but how did I do it? If that's what you're asking.
Like, yeah.
Honestly, it really, there's so much that goes into it. But if we're talking about the portable side, it took so much caring for people, because you can have all the plans all day, all the spreadsheets and all the schematics, and have everything labeled.
Which you did.
Which I did
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
Along the way, I got better. Because just to start with, I was so in over my head.
Yeah.
I was, I was
Yeah.
underwater and trying to figure out, where do you start in a pandemic of, okay, we have 1,000 plus kids coming on a weekend. What are we going to do? How do we reset?
Right.
And now you're in charge. And some people who helped start Loden, they weren't coming back. So how do you build a team in a pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really hard time to do. But also just in general, some people don't want to do Loden and Load Out church.
No.
They're like, you know what? I'll show up on the weekend, but
Yes.
no, I actually don't want to spend my Sunday afternoon packing church up.
Yes,
or
right.
getting
Yes.
it prepped.
Yes.
And so I think a huge part of it came from honestly honoring every person that was a part of it. Is the easiest thing was just being relational. I can't pay people with money, but I can pay them with my thanks. I can pay them with taking them out to coffee or dinner or whatever it meant in that way, but also knowing what was going on in their worlds. Because there's something about portable church that you don't always get naturally in a church where there's not load in and load out. Because there's something about sweating alongside someone and putting in the work. And it's like, okay, we have 4 hours to get a whole kids ministry set up. This is insane. There's something about working so hard together that it bonds you. So either you could see people of like, oh, we need to just get this done. And of course we need to get things done. Sometimes it's you're setting up and you have church in 3 hours. And so there's a really real timeline that you're working along. But a huge part of it was, okay, let's do a group lunch after church. Like, we're going to celebrate what we won. We're going to be like, man, we beat our time this week. Way to go, guys. Like, that was phenomenal. Or it looked like, hey, I heard that this is going on this week. Like, I noticed that you weren't there. Just even making people feel seen and known was a huge part of keeping that culture alive. But in the culture, setting up often included a really great playlist. So we had Purple Rain on there.
Oh, hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had basically, because also I had people who were 16 and I had people who were 70 on my load-in team. Like someone who's 70, I put the song Put Your Head on My Shoulder on and she was like, oh my goodness.
And then it's like,
setting
also,
up.
why don't you sit down in this rocking chair?
Right,
like, we would
right.
love for you to have a rest.
Right, literally, her name is Miss Betty.
Aw,
like, so
Miss Betty.
sweet. Literally, Miss Betty, the sweetest human. She's in her 70s.
Just serving.
Just
and
serving her heart out because she sees the need and she's going to fill it.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, I don't actually want to ask you to pull in a case because,
Right.
you just wait and we'll get it
You weigh
on.
the same amount as this case, like for your safety.
Right,
Like,
I'm like, Miss Betty, okay, not on the table
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
You gotta get down.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, how about you do this? But she was phenomenal. But seriously, it took rewards. Like, we would show up and we would have cupcakes on the weekend, or it took like literally making awards. Like, we would have little trophies and be like, man, I saw you leading in whatever our cultural values were. Is we would be like, man, you really embodied this. And we would, as a team, because everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be known.
Yes.
And when you're doing something that it's a lot different from just standing at a door and greeting, although that is so needed and so important, and it's a first impression. This literally was building our church.
Yeah.
And so it took staying in people's lives. It took releasing and creating really good schematics. It sounds like anyone would know of like, okay, how do we set up a room? But I remember when we came back from 2020, my boss at the time, he had said, hey, Payton, walk with me. I want to show you how to see. And I was like, okay. And so we're loading in and it's nighttime. And he said, do you see how there's not a light in this trailer? People can't see where these go. And he was like, hey, do you see how a lot of people are standing around wondering what to do next? He was like, you're releasing them to do these things, but what would it look like if you worked really hard to get a schematic for every area where you had a QR code? So no matter how many times you change your room setup, anybody, if you gave them a sheet of paper, one person could set up this whole area.
Yeah.
And it would be the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And although that was such common knowledge, like it seems really simple, you get in the habit in kids ministry of like, okay, we're already running this course. There's a fire over here. I need to work on this. And sometimes it's hard to inspect. So even just having someone come in and say, hey, you need to work on your SOPs, your standard operating procedures. Like, we need to get these in place. And when we did, it exploded.
Yeah.
Literally, the amount of people that are like, oh, sure, I can set up this room. Like, you handed me a piece of paper with exactly what to do and a checklist. And it took the stress of, oh my gosh, are we ever going to get over? Like, are we ever going to come above air again? Like, up to air to breathe? It released people to, like, we were equipping the saints to do the work.
Yeah.
It changed everything.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was crazy.
You had a leader who was really kind and like was like, "Hey, can I help you lead?
Mhm.
Like, can I help you?" Like, it's one thing to be leading a room or to be leading like a piece of the ministry, and then there's another level. It talks about it in Moses, like where Jethro comes to him and is like, "You're stressed out, my
Right.
guy. Like you've got to stop meeting with every single person here. So go find leaders and put some over 10 people, some over 50 people, 100 people, like and
Right.
find your leaders." And so you had someone who was like, "Hey, we're calling you. If you're going to oversee 100 or 200 or 300 people
Yeah.
now, like this is how you have to be looking at things and
Right.
identify your people." But then so you've built all these systems, which is awesome.
Mhm.
It's great.
It is great.
And then you start to like, again, it's blowing up. You have 4 campuses, 0 buildings owned. I'm gonna keep reiterating that
No,
because
I think it's important. I think
it's really
if you missed it, you need to know. We have no buildings.
Yeah.
Like, I will hug a wall when I see one because there was so many years in
like
my
you're
life.
encroaching upon 20,000 people every weekend, and it's like, and so we don't like we're
Oh,
loading in and out every week.
For sure. Like, someone's worst nightmare is maybe 73 toddlers in a room with no walls.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wait,
I
they
know
can
that
go
pain.
under this curtain. This is fun.
Oh,
Like, yeah.
For sure. I mean, if you want loadout stories or
Yeah.
load-in stories or just, walls falling as you're doing church.
Yeah.
Like, some people pray for walls to fall. We were praying
Yeah.
for them not
Well,
to fall.
yeah, walls are staying up. Walls are
Lord,
staying up. Like,
please
please,
keep our
in
walls
the
up.
name of Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. We were praying for walls.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it keeps going. And then in a crazy turn of events, you go from having this thriving team where like just growing, everything's going great. And then your pastor has like a moral failure.
Right.
And like pretty quickly where you have people who are like, we're all in, we're going to load in and out. Or like, hey, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. And if I do want to be here, I don't want to load in and out anymore.
Right.
And it like massively changed the dynamic and the way that you guys could do. So then tell me, like, how do you hold that? Because you have people who it's like you're trying to leave space for, hey, you're processing and you've got to do your own thing. We're still trying to make ministry happen. And we don't want to, I always say this, sometimes, like leaders will be like, we're not asking you to make more bricks with less straw. But sometimes it's like, but I feel like I'm making the same amount of bricks with less straw. Like it may not be more bricks, but like it's the same amount of bricks I've been making. So, but you weren't in a season where you could just be like, okay, we're going to stop doing this and stop doing this. So you had to get really creative. And so and you have staff members who are processing, you're processing and grieving of like, wow, we all like, we're a part of this person's vision. It's God's church. But so what do you do?
Well, first you freak out and panic.
Yeah.
In a really real sense.
Step 1. Yeah.
Step 1, you have to acknowledge it because it could be really easy to just be like, okay, we got to go. And honestly, when it did happen, I was like, okay, the mission still stands. Like, no matter who's in this position, the mission still stands. There's still lost people that still need to know Jesus. And there's very much so our sheep that need to be shepherded during this time.
Yeah.
But what do you do when those sheep want, and they're finding a new flock?
Yeah.
That is really hard to lead through as well. To answer that, I mean, there's so many different ways you could cut it, but you do have to get crafty. You have to okay, how can I create a great experience? And we're scrappy and we're praying for God and we're doing all the things we were doing before, but people are kind of at a standstill of, is this my house, or do I help uphold it, or is it time for me to take my next step? And that is crazy to lead through because, you're at the end of the day, every kid pastor is human. And so I remember in this season, it was tough. I mean, it was so tough. And I remember literally, I finished church. I mean, our load-in was not like a regular load-in either.
Yeah.
It was one of the fastest growing churches. So it was giant and it took hours. I mean, even scaled down, it probably took about 6 hours. So I remember, being at my my lowest, and just being like, God, like, there's got to be more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure I threw up on the way to church today and I still have to do loaded. Because we don't have people. What do we do? And that is obviously not a great situation or a healthy situation. So I remember I left a load in, and I just started driving, and I started praying and having this dialogue with God of, Lord, have you called us to this? Like, you have the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying this, and sometimes we say it, but this time it like took root in my heart of, I remember like having a dialogue with the Lord and him saying, Payton, I care about this more.
Mm-hmm.
And me being like, are you sure? Because it's thin.
'Cause I care a lot and I'm not seeing help. Yeah.
Right. I care a lot. And this is like asking someone to literally build a whole church, and you don't have the people.
Yeah.
And the people are still coming. So what are we going to do?
You still have people showing up.
Right. Yeah. So people are very much so showing up. But like, I would have nightmares. I would be like nightmares of scuba falling, which if you do load in and load out, that's a really real dream of like, you show up to church and nothing's set up. That was really real. But I remember on that day when I went on that drive, and God saying, I care more about my church.
Yeah.
Being like, okay, like if you care more than I do, and I care a lot.
Yeah.
Like I've centered my whole life around building this.
Yep.
So, Lord, I know you're not going to put me in a place where you're not like, I'm just stuck. Like I'm not going to be in a place where I'm stuck, because he's going to bring the people.
Yeah.
And when I got to that place of, Lord, you care more, because honestly, when you feel like you're losing your team, you just start like wanting to control so much. So how do you love people well? And if someone's transitioning out, what do you do and not like squeeze them out or burn people out? And one of a really great a piece of advice I got during this time is, hey, God is bringing the people in this season, although it's really hard. How you're asking people to come on your team is, hey, I'm so sorry. I know this is like a lot, but would you mind joining? I know. And they're like, you need to stop apologizing.
Correct.
Because what you're doing is you're circumventing someone's calling. You're circumventing God's process that someone might very well want to be a part.
Yeah.
Like someone is like, I've been praying for God to use me.
So fun. Keep going.
And that I'm setting this in a tone that it's like, hey, we have this. We set this up every week. The way that you carry culture, like I just want you to come in here and be the fun person as we get things done. And not saying it in like, we're a drowning ship. Like, could you help us please? Like patch the holes. No, but it truly was, hey, like we have this opportunity. Would you please come join us? And something else that became really vital is most kids ministries experience this, is that it's really easy to become an island.
Yep.
And in our process, through 2020, we had been going for so long in one direction, but when we stopped and said, hey, we have a team that's setting up the whole church, but kids ministry, you guys figure that out.
Yes.
Like that was a real conversation. And I remember being like,
kids ministry got kicked out to the curb? What?
Yeah, I know. No one's surprised. We're like, we could say it in an interesting voice all day.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I've been there.
I've been there. Yeah.
But even realizing, hey, you have a team that's also doing the same thing. You don't have to carry this on your own. And so when we came together as a staff and said, hey, like if we're expecting excellence, one, it's everyone's effort. And it was no longer carrying it on your own, but we were all sharing it. It was, oh my goodness, it was like wind in ourselves of, hey, we're going to work on this together and we're going to like move throughout the church as a unit.
But you had people that were bought in too. Like, so with Chris, who's the CEO here at Amazing Life, and we launched Amazing Kids and
Love
Amazing
him.
and all this stuff together. He's awesome. We always talk about, there's this really famous job posting from Ernest Shackleton. And so he was an explorer back in like the 1900s. And he posted this like job posting because he was doing an exploration to, I think it was the South Pole, it was Antarctica maybe, South Pole, one of them. And so he posted this in the paper, and it said, men wanted for hazardous journey, low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness, safe return doubtful. honor and recognition and an event of success. And so Chris talks about it all the time, like just shoot people straight, because
Yeah.
he put that in the paper and had about thousands of applicants and people being like, I'll do it. Like I'll be there. And their boat ends up getting stuck in the ice. And like, it was crazy. And so
But they knew what they were
signing up for. And he didn't like diminish or mitigate what the ask was.
Yes.
And so I was telling Chris, I was looking through my phone because I had this text.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I would do this if I were recruiting volunteers at a church again, like one day. I'll get to do it again. No, but because we, like you said, sometimes we apologize for like, hey, I'm so sorry. We really need help. Could you help us? And it was like, no, like be honest about this is what's. So I like rewrote Ernest Shackleton's thing and sent it to Chris the other day. And I said, low pay, actually no pay, high energy, loud rooms, sticky floors, loud mornings, occasional chaos, impact guaranteed, eternal return promised, joy, purpose, and privilege of shaping the faith of the next generation. Please apply here. And I was like, just be honest with people.
Right.
Be like, hey, it's not always going to be like incredible.
Right.
But I can tell you, as much as you think you're making an impact on these kids, it's going to shape you just as much as you're shaping them.
100%.
And that's the stories you hear when like the people who really, when they know what they're buying into and signing up for,
100%.
they're like, I had no idea how much it was going to change me. Like I feel shaped. Sometimes these kids speak truth into my life that I'm like, thanks, man.
Right.
Yeah, I needed that.
Right,
like, they're like crying in a corner. It's like, Jerry, you good, man? Like, can you get back to your group? But but like it's really important. Like I think that's like such a key piece, especially as young leaders or even mature leaders. Like we don't have to apologize for it. Like, and I don't. You never did this, and there's a lot of people who won't. But we don't just want warm bodies in the room.
Right.
We want people who are like, I need help influencing the faith of the next generation. And you may not be the person, but I'm going to extend the invitation. But I need real humans. Like I need people who are up for the challenge. Are you up for it? No? Great.
Yeah.
Leave. Next. I'm trash. No, it's like, it's like, I don't know. But like, no, it's like, and you can honor where people are at. Because if you don't and they sign up thinking one thing, then
100%.
You're setting them up for failure.
And also you get so discouraged.
Yes.
You're like, I'm recruiting people, but they're not staying. And it's like, well, when did you tell them what they were actually doing and not just saying, it's going to be the best. They're so sweet.
You can serve like once a month. And it's like, and they're,
and it's like, you have 2 people on your team, Lisa. Like, what are we doing?
It's like, and like one of the best seasons we ever had with volunteers was telling them, I need you here every week. I need you in this class and you're going to do this role.
Yeah.
And guess what? They thrived because they never called in being like, because they didn't feel like if I don't show up today, like nothing's going to change. It's like, I need you. And more than me, these kids need you.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, something that was so inspiring and it really encouraged me and changed the way I view volunteers, even like just practically to the church I serve at. We serve every week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a twist your arm. It's, hey, we're all in this together. And people go on breaks and all the different things. But it's not like a far ask to say, hey, I'll see you next. If you're not going to be there, they'll let us know.
Yeah.
I mean, planning center is like a thing for anyone of like, can you accept or decline, please?
Please, for the love of God. Can you block out your dates, please?
Please.
I will sit here with you and do it for you. You just tell me, when are you gone? Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure yesterday I sent an email and then on planning center, you have messages. And then I did a mass text. Yeah. Great results. Everyone's like, okay, she needs me to respond.
Yeah.
Great. Because most people forget. But you, as the one doing it, you're like, okay, I need you to respond because I don't know who's going to be here. So, but truly, it just, the people that you bring in obviously always cast vision of, hey, let me tell you a story about this kid in our ministry.
Yep.
You would be surprised how many people don't know what's going on in your church.
Correct.
They have no idea. I mean, when you go to school, there's parent conference meetings, so you know, hey, this is where my kid's at. This is what they're learning.
This is what you're learning. This
is If you're on the Bible app, it keeps a little score, and it's like, hey, great, you're this many days in. Or even if you go to the gym, it's like, hey, you've hit these milestones. You've done this many. You're
losing weight. This is you're lifting more weight. You've walked 4 miles instead of 2.
Right. But so many times in kids ministry, although we're really great communicators with kids, we're not the best at communicating vision overall. And we're not the best, and we don't have to reinvent it.
No.
You know how many times I've sat in rooms, like even being 20 in ministry, I remember sitting there and being like, okay, what do we want? What do we want them to walk away with? And I think it was super helpful conversation from you. You're like, what is the overall vision of your church?
Yeah.
And I was light bulb moment of like, oh wait, I don't have to reinvent
You don't need a different mission statement than your church.
But when you see, and it's kind of like going through a magazine or on Instagram, you see all these other churches and it's like they have a word declaration, and these like they're literally writing in stone, like
Yeah.
with a tablet, what they're
Oh my gosh, is that kid speaking Latin? Like it's like,
Literally.
oh, okay, we're gonna do that too.
Literally, this
Yeah.
kid just went on a missions trip and he's second grade. Their whole church went. So
Mhm.
it's like you're looking everywhere, and really start with what is the vision of your house?
Yeah.
Because I remember being so young in ministry and I kept just trying to pull from all the places I had
Which
seen.
curiosity and inspiration are great.
They're great, but they're great indication of things to inspect, but they're terrible navigators
Mm-hmm.
because you have 18 different visions from around that doesn't actually fall into what you're wanting your kids to walk away with every week.
Yeah.
And at that point, can a kid even tell you what they learned?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as recruiting and as far as how do you do that and different things, when we realized, hey, this is exactly what the role is. And the fun part is getting in the kids' lives and knowing what's going on. But when we stop saying like, okay, like, yeah, if you show up, like you're going to do this and then we'll maybe do this position. No, give them a position and let them run.
Yeah.
And also something that sometimes lifts the lid for kids pastors was I remember thinking, okay, I need to think of the game time this week. What are we going to do? You have people in your ministry, those 22-year-old young adults, those guys, they're going to come up with a way better game than you can.
Mm-hmm.
And they have time to just sit and think all week on, oh, this is like mischievous or this is funny.
There was a church that started doing, I think you guys have done this too, but they would do their like once a month where they would have all these young volunteers come in and they would cast vision. They would do a little bit of a training, they had pizza, it's fun. And then one portion of the night, they would pull out all these different props and things, hula hoops and rubber chickens, duct tape, whatever it was.
Brilliant.
And give their like these like teenagers and young adults like, hey, you have 5 minutes to come up with a game, and the winner, we're gonna do it like this coming month.
Brilliant.
And people like it gets so competitive, and people are like, when they realize that's what it was, they start coming with like, okay, if I can get the duct tape and if I can get the rubber chicken, we're gonna win the game thing. That's it. It's like, oh, use that creativity
and
like,
even just the morale that creates and the
ownership.
Ownership. It gives them ownership. And most kids ministry leaders, especially when you're young, you're so afraid of losing it.
Yeah.
You really are.
Yeah.
You're so afraid of losing it that you're trying to put your hands on everything that really when you open it up and you say, okay, God, who are the people that you've placed here?
Mm-hmm.
They want to be involved. Like if I'm just talking to whatever young kid pastor, you have people in your room that I know you think you care more than anyone else, and you do care a lot. But there are people that God is literally giving dreams, that God is literally giving them next steps of saying, hey, you're going to step up and start speaking in this classroom. You're going to start really actually caring about your small group and preparing, and that something shifts. And so if you can just start casting vision and creating fun nights of, hey, literally, we don't need anything from you. Like, we're not learning policies tonight.
No.
We're not going through, really, who wants to sit through a list of 34 pieces of paper on policy?
Not every month. I don't.
Not every month. Is it needed? Absolutely. But if the only time you're meeting is to go over policy, you're missing the mark.
Yeah.
You're missing an opportunity to create teams. And is policy important? And should we talk about it?
Yeah.
Always. Absolutely.
But not only.
But not only.
Always, but not only.
But again, I remember being a 20-year-old leader and being like, I'm so afraid of anything happening.
Yeah.
Like I will spend the time going through policy
Yes.
the whole entirety of the meeting.
And then you watch kids pastors, and they're so afraid because they care of distributing and delegating ownership. When like if you shift your vision and if you shift your perspective from I have to own this so that it all happens the way it's supposed to happen to God, would you reveal the stewards? Like, I'm going to find someone to steward this. I'm going to give them ownership of it. And God, like, help me find the good stewards.
Yes.
And they're going to steward scheduling the volunteers for you.
Yes.
They're going to steward running that room for you. They're going to steward these moments. Like, and everyone can steward different amounts. Like, people have different capacities. So what
Right.
you're looking for and how you can help them grow when you switch your perspective is like, okay, this person, they have the capacity at this moment to steward this, and I want them to steward this at some point.
Right.
So I'm going to help them with that.
Right.
And like you tell them, like, hey, this is what I want you to do one day.
Right.
But right now I need you to own this. And like when they feel ownership of it, your ministry begins to thrive because people care about it.
Yeah.
It's not there. I'm just executing Peyton's vision. And Pastor Peyton asked me to do this. It's like, no,
Right.
I want the kids to have the absolute best experience. So they steward it so well because it's not Peyton's, it's God's. And God's
Right.
asked me to steward this.
100%.
And so it's a big mindset shift. But when we do that, one, we feel the weight get distributed. Like we carry a mantle, but Jesus says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light.
Yes.
And so like I think that's because we have brothers and sisters and we have a church of people who can help us carry this mantle.
Right.
So that we can see the next gen raised up. And it's really important.
Yes. And it should come from multiple voices.
Yes.
Trusted, that we've prepped, and, we're not just throwing people out along the way, but you shouldn't be the only voice in your ministry.
No.
You should honestly diversify your group of,
Yes.
okay, is it just a room of, that's doing this? Is it just women? Because here's the thing. A lot of kids pastors are making up their new motions, not with Orange, not with Amazing Life, because we have amazing worship, right?
Amazing music
Amazing music.
on
I love
all
it.
digital streaming platforms. Check it out. Link below.
It's amazing. But sometimes you have things that we're curating curriculum and content that is more curated towards how a girl receives. And it's like, hey, sitting 25 minutes with no illustration and
Yeah.
no questions and no anything.
But girls are there making notes. Like, this is so good.
Literally this past Sunday, I looked over and there was a girl who had a journal and she was on her 4th page and we were 5 minutes into the lesson. And a boy is like, just like shaking their leg.
He's
ready.
like, I can't do this.
Yes. So one, diversify. Hey, if that person can at least do 80% of the way, release them to do the work.
Yeah.
There's grace, but let's let people try and ask them, hey, what did you think about that? How did that go? And allow them to self-evaluate and say, oh, I maybe could have done a little bit more in this area or whatever.
Yep.
But even age, because there's sometimes when you are a young leader, you can start to discount of like, oh, maybe they don't want to do this. Maybe we need some new, like, younger voices. And although having the young voice is great,
It's awesome.
Having that person that's been there for 20 years, honor them, bless them.
You need mothers and fathers.
You need mothers
gray
and
hair.
yes.
You need men. You
Yes.
need women. And you need wisdom to like speak into and bring up those volunteers and leaders along with the kids. Absolutely.
100%. Literally, we have a guy in my ministry. He's in his 60s. He literally, this is like his 4th time around of the kids going from like 1st grade to 5th grade, and he's been in it. Like, he's done it
It's incredible.
for years. And there's something so special about having someone who's so reverent of the Word of God that sometimes, a younger leader can say, oh, this is the scripture, but someone that's lived some life, they take that group of kids and it's almost like
They've lived that scripture.
They've lived that scripture. And so they're not rushing through it to get to the next point. Like, all of a sudden, they start reading the scripture and it's not in this flashy sense. It's in small group and all the kids are locked in and you're like, what's different? Because, sometimes in the message we're doing the same thing, but they've lived the scripture.
Yep.
And they're able to say, hey, I feel like we need to hone in on this. I feel like we might be missing the mark on this. Or they're able to bring new ideas. Like, never discount just someone who continues to show up faithfully.
Perfect.
That wins every time. They don't have to be the coolest person, the flashiest person.
No.
These kids want someone who's real,
Consistent, faithful,
who's consistent,
present.
who's present, who knows their name, who
Yep.
says, like, he might be the grandpa of our ministry, but a lot of these kids don't have grandparents.
Yeah, but Trevor in 4th grade loves him. So
Loves him, literally dresses up like him for like
So
at school. It's like, I want to be him when I grow up,
Yeah.
It matters. So I think anytime you're building a team of, hey, how are we diversifying it? Is it just people that look like me, that sound like me? Obviously, we're building under the values of our church of, hey, this is our vision. But if you start excommunicating and, like, this is who we're working with, sometimes those people who are seasoned start feeling like, oh, maybe there's not a spot for me anymore. And you're
Yeah.
like, wait, no, why are you leaving? And it's like, you kind of cut them out. We need to honor those who have been there before you and who have paved the way. You're getting to walk in what they've paved.
It sounds like you're in a fun season now.
I am.
Every season is fun, but
I am.
for its own reasons. But
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't have a choice because you did have a choice, I should say, but not really.
Not really. But where else would I be?
Where else would you be?
Yeah.
And so thanks for taking time to talk through.
Of course.
I mean, we could talk another 2 hours, but
yeah.
the church you're at now, it's beautiful. We're actually hosting one of our next events there,
Yes.
Keystone in
Yes.
South Lake Keller, Texas. They do Next Gen so well. You should really get to know them if you don't. It's a beautiful church. But
Yeah.
thanks for taking time to hang out with all of us today.
Of course. Awesome.
All right. Bye, guys.